You don't notice him at first. That's the worst part. The first time I saw him, it was just past midnight. The street was empty, the kind of empty that made your footsteps sound too loud. The city around me was asleep. Every window dark, every car parked like it had been abandoned for years. My breath came out in small, white clouds. I was walking home from the late shift at the diner, the same route I always took. Elm Street, then Birch, then the narrow alley shortcut behind the laundromat. That shortcut had always creeped me out, but it saved me 7 minutes. 7 minutes felt like forever at 1 a.m., when you just want to collapse in bed. That night, I almost didn't take it. Almost. As soon as I turned into the alley, I noticed him. At first, he looked like a normal guy, tall, thin, standing under a broken streetlight. His back was turned. I could hear faint static coming from somewhere, like an old TV left on mute. I slowed down, but he didn't move. The flickering bulb above him made the scene pulse, light, dark, and each time it blinked, he seemed closer. I told myself I was imagining it. Just tired, just shadows. Then the light stayed on for a few seconds, and I saw him clearly. He wasn't standing still, he was swaying, not like someone waiting, like someone trying to remember how to stand, and his head, it was tilted too far, almost resting on his shoulder, like his neck had given up halfway. I couldn't see his face yet. He was facing the wall, but I could see his hands hanging at his sides, fingers too long, skin pale, and stretched tight like wet paper. Something deep inside me whispered, "Don't move, don't breathe." Then he turned around. His face was wrong. It wasn't monstrous in the usual way. No blood, no missing eyes, no jagged teeth. It was worse. It was almost human. He had a face that looked sculpted from memory, like someone had tried to recreate a human being from a vague description. Eyes too round, skin pulled too tight over the cheekbones, lips wide, too wide, and the smile, that smile looked painted on. His mouth didn't move when he smiled. It was the smile. He tilted his head again, and that impossible grin stretched wider. The flickering light above us buzzed, then went out completely. The alley fell into darkness. For a moment, all I could hear was breathing. Not mine, not his. Something between the two. A wet inhale, a slow, dragging exhale. Then the light flickered back on. He was gone. I ran, didn't look back, didn't breathe properly until I reached my apartment door. My keys rattled in my hand as I tried to unlock it, eyes darting over my shoulder every half second. The street behind me was empty. No one there. When I finally stepped inside, I locked the door, slid the bolt, and pressed my back against it, shaking. The sound of the refrigerator humming was the only thing that reminded me I was still in the real world. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that grin floating in the dark, like it was burned into the back of my eyelids. The next morning, I told myself it was a hallucination. Maybe I'd dozed off standing up. Maybe stress had finally cracked me. The diner job was killing me. 12-hour shifts, endless orders, drunks, broken machines. But then, at work, I noticed something strange. Outside, across the street, stood a man. Tall, thin, neck crooked. He wasn't smiling this time. He was just watching. Every time I moved between tables, his head followed. I blinked, and he was gone. When I went on break, I asked Jess, the other waitress, if she'd seen a guy standing by the lamppost. She frowned. No one's been out there for hours. "You okay, Mel?" I laughed it off. Didn't sleep much. But when I looked back out the window, just for a second, I saw something reflected in the glass. A wide, curved grin, right behind my shoulder. When I turned, nothing. That night, the knocking started. 3 sharp knocks at 2:03 a.m. No footsteps outside the door, no voice, just the knocks. I peeked through the peephole, empty hallway. The next night, same time. This time, slower knocks. Like whoever it was enjoyed waiting between each one. The third night, I didn't check. I hid under the covers like a child. The knocking stopped after a while, but I could hear faint laughter outside. A breathy, hollow laugh. When I looked at the door in the dark, I could see a faint light underneath, like someone was standing there holding a phone's flashlight against the floor. The light went out after a few seconds. The next morning, I found something wedged under the door. A photograph. It was me, standing in front of the diner, only I hadn't taken that photo. And behind me, blurry but visible, was him. That same tilt of the head. That same awful grin. I stopped going to work. I stayed in my apartment, curtains drawn, lights always on. I even taped over the windows with newspaper. But every night I could feel him outside. Sometimes I'd see faint shadows under the door. Sometimes the doorknob would twitch. Once, I woke up and saw the bathroom light was on. But I live alone. When I crept closer, the mirror was fogged up. And written in the condensation were 2 words, N-I-C-E-S-M-I-L-E. I started researching. Smiling man urban legend. Grinning monster sightings. Wide-mouth entities. Most of it was creepypasta garbage, but there were patterns. People described him differently. Sometimes in alleys, sometimes in hallways, sometimes watching from windows. But one thing was always the same. He appears when you walk home alone. He learns your route, and he starts to mimic you. One post said that when the smiling man starts leaving photos, it means he's close. When he writes messages, it means he's inside. I wanted to believe it was all fake. Until the night I found footprints in my kitchen, bare footprints, wet, too long. That night, I called the police. They searched the apartment. Nothing. No signs of forced entry. One of the officers, an older guy with tired eyes, pulled me aside before leaving. "Lock your windows," he said quietly. "All of them. Don't answer the door after midnight. And if you see him smile again," he hesitated, "don't smile back." Then he left. I didn't understand what he meant until later. The next few nights were silent. No knocking, no photos. I started to believe it was over. Then, one night, my phone buzzed at exactly 2:03 a.m. An image message. No sender. When I opened it, my stomach dropped. It was a selfie of me, taken from the foot of my bed. In the background, behind my shoulder, was a blurry grin in the darkness. I don't remember screaming. I remember running to the door, unlocking it, sprinting down the hall barefoot. My heart felt like it was trying to escape my ribs, but when I reached the stairwell, he was there, standing 2 floors below, head tilted up toward me, smile wide and frozen. No pupils, just white. The light above him flickered, and for the briefest second his face shifted, like his skin was a mask struggling to hold shape. Beneath it, something black and glistening twitched. He started moving, not walking, gliding, each step too smooth, too silent. I turned and ran back to my apartment, slammed the door, locked it, pushed the dresser against it. The handle rattled violently once, twice, then stopped. Silence, then whispering from inside the room, "Why don't you smile for me?" When I woke up, it was morning. The dresser was still against the door. The room looked untouched, but my phone was on the nightstand. Camera open, still recording. The video showed me sleeping. Then, at 2:03 a.m., the camera shook slightly, as if someone had picked it up. The frame turned toward me, and there he was, crouched beside my bed, grinning inches from my face. He raised one long finger and pressed it to my lips in the recording. Shh. Then he slowly turned the camera toward himself and smiled directly into it. A wide, endless grin that split too far. The video cut to black. I packed a bag and left the city that day. I drove for hours until I reached a small motel off the highway. The kind of place where no one asks questions. The woman at the desk looked at me like I'd been running from something, but didn't say a word. I locked the door, covered the windows again, tried to sleep. At 2:03 a.m., I heard laughter through the wall. When I turned on the light, the wallpaper behind the bed had peeled slightly. There was something written beneath the torn edge, carved into the wood. Found you. Now, I keep the lights on all the time. I sleep in the bathroom with the mirror covered. I unplug every device that has a camera. But sometimes, I still hear it, the faint, static hum like that first night in the alley. Last week, I found another photograph under the door. This time, it wasn't of me. It was of the motel clerk, smiling. Behind her, blurred, but there, was me. Same crooked neck, same empty grin. I think I understand now. The smiling man doesn't just follow you, he becomes you. If you ever see someone standing under a flickering light, head tilted, smiling too wide, don't look too long, don't smile back, because once you do, you'll start smiling too.